Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. I don't live in your world. You, my darlings, live in mine. So it's Friday, the 5th of December, and 2025, obviously. And the time is 2:39 p.m. Gosh, day's gone really quickly. But I've been down to the shops to Carindale. I put some money back in my account, so I'm not going to be overdrawn. Running as fast as I can, pedalling as fast as I can on the turgid boat ride through life. But anyway, I had a bit of lunch up at the food court there at the Red Crane, which is my favourite. I like to have Japanese katsu curry and rice. So I had that there and that was yummy. And then I went to Coles and I was able, for the first time in years, to buy the small little boxes of Hanukkah candles. I bought 2. And when I went to check out, because there was no price on the shelf, they were only $2.95 a packet, which was very reasonable. I think I used to pay the sure $6 back in the day, like many moons ago. So they've actually come down in price. And much better than spending, $50 for the fancy ones I was buying in Golds, because I couldn't get the little ones that I traditionally buy. So anyway, I bought 2 packets, one to put aside for next year in case the supply of candles dwindles again, as seems to have been a problem over the years. Yes, so that was that. I bought a bottle of olive oil too, because running low, and I didn't look at any shops. I just went and got what I needed, and I went to Aldi and bought a few little things to tide me over until pension day on Tuesday. So I came home, I hit the ground running, took my little birdie boys outside. So they're very happy to be out. Happy to be out in the garden, aren't you, Kermie? He says, yes, Mama. Why'd you make us wait all day? Because Mama had to go to the shops, that's why. So Bo's happy too. And everything's... Oh, BB, the bastard buzzard, is happy. I gave him some seeds, so he's a happy little bird. So all the birdies are taken great care of. And what about the mama too? Oh, here she goes and have a drink of water. So I had a roiling anxiety yesterday, which I channeled into creating these, and then in the evening I was working on trying to make like a rectangle shaped kind of bale out of this piece of silver that I'd attempted to do silver dust on, and I managed to cut it into shape, but when it wouldn't bend, and then in 2 places it snapped off. So annoyed about that wasted effort, but I'm learning. It's practice. I can either melt it down or attempt to solder it into some kind of cube shape again. Well, baby steps, people of Earth. Baby bloody steps. And, as I said in my video yesterday, I polished up that pendant I made and polished up my Viking ship earrings that had gone tarnished. And today I just cut up my old Commonwealth Bank card that is now defunct because they're sending me a new one. Cut it so you can wrap chains around it and put it in the tumbler and clean silver. So that was a bit of a task, and that's the only jewellery making I did today, a jewellery related thing. I thought I need a rest. My nervous system gets stretched very thin when I do too much in one day. I've always been like that. Work one day, rest the next, work one day, rest the next. Except, when I was working on Belinda's pendant, I worked on that 5 days consistently and was utterly exhausted. I've still got to get it to her, actually. It's disappointing that she hasn't got me over there, but when she's ready, whatever. I'm not in any hurry. She's not in any hurry. It's completed and it's ready to go when she's ready to accept it. I hope she likes it. I really do. So yes, I started work on another pendant and braided some silver, and I've got to try and cut that and solder it together to make the surround around the bezel. It's not that simple. It depends on my mood. Some things go easily if I'm feeling, successful, and other times it just fails. But I'm sure I can do it. I've done it before, fluked things before. Really is kind of fluking things, to be honest. So anyway, I'm pondering that. I've got to do that. I've got to make a bale for it. And then I've got to set the stone. That should actually be quite lovely when I finish that. So I'm sort of working through bit by bit, making things out of the stones I bought a couple of years ago. And when I've made something with all of them, when I'm feeling a bit flush, I'll buy some more. And stay in the flow. Keep flowing with the abundance of life, people of Earth. You got to keep positive. Got to reframe things. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am truly greatly loved. I am cared for. I am protected. I am safe. I'm cherished and adored by a wonderful man whom I cherish and adore back. Requited love would be much desired and much appreciated if I could ever manifest that one day, dear Goddess. But I take delight in my platonic friends, so, I'm grateful for the wonderful men in my life who are kind and soul nourishing and sweet and motivating and inspiring, and in their little quiet ways can be quite quietly protective in an unobtrusive way, because the mama too doesn't like feeling controlled or manipulated or overdone. I'm not quite sure what the word is there. Dominated. I don't like being dominated by any man, woman or child. Sometimes I let little Bo dominate me, but only because he's a little cockatiel and he communicates non-verbally and he tells me exactly what he wants when he wants it. Like earlier today, when I got up late this morning, didn't breathe much in the night. I stopped breathing twice an hour, which is quite a big backslide, but it shows you that I overdid it with the jewellery yesterday, and so I paid last night with my breathing. It's a pain in my ass, but it is what it is. So, and my anxiety is quite bad actually. Not as bad as yesterday, thank the Goddess, but I can feel this undercurrent of holding tension. And it's probably got to do with overdoing things yesterday. But anyway, when I got up about 9ish. By the time I synapsed a bit and moseyed on into the bird room, it was nearly 10. It was quite late to get them up and happening for the day. And little Bo was quite cranky with me and let me know. He looked at his food bowl like this, and then looked at me like this. And I got the message immediately that he had decided there were a few, crummy bits left that he could have nibbled at, but he had decided that there wasn't enough and he wanted more. And what kind of a mother am I to starve a little bird like him? How very dare I? So I took the dregs of what was left in his bowl and I put it out with Kermie's stuff. He just, when his goes stale, he just refuses to eat it too. So I chucked it outside because I know the turkey will eat it. And I've topped up their bowls. I don't top it right up because, you know, I don't want them to overeat. But anyway, when I topped it up and I put his topped up special parrot mix in his cage, he just looked at me like, and there he did this little whistling, which is how he registered his discontent usually. But in this context, I took it to mean that he was saying, "Thank you very much, but about bloody time, Mama T. I've been waiting on that all day." It was still kind of a cranky kind of acknowledgement that I'd fed him. And I decided he really does control me, the cute little bugger that he is. But you know, food's important. I get cranky when my food's not there too, by all the gods. The Yarrans family turn into hungry beasts if you dare to starve us. So Kermie was like, went straight for the food too and bet up Bo, said he couldn't have it. It was his, which is kind of crazy since he had the exact same food in his own cage, but it's just, you know, a big brother thing, isn't it? It's like, I'm here first. I'm bigger than you. I'm going to get what I want. And you're going to wait, little munchkin. Little munchkin has got attitude to bird. Waits for no bird, man, woman or child. Oh, little munchkin is losing feathers left, right and centre. Right, on that note, on munchkins demanding tribute and food and being quite bossy and losing feathers, we're going to read the next part of this book. It's in 3 parts. No, it isn't. It's in 2 parts. We're going to read the next part. Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. I wore my mother's, this was my mother's locket. I had a clump of hair. I'm not sure if it was my own or from Crystal, but I lost it somewhere at Carindale today. Fell out, thing was flown open. Oh, no more sentimental collections of hair. All gone. All bloody gone. So that was one disappointment. But anyway, we'll carry on with the story. Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. Dramatis personae, as arranged before commencement of game. On the white side are the white pieces, pawns, Tweedledee, sorry, I'm a bit confused here. Tweedledee, so the pieces are Tweedledee, and the pawn playing opposite him is Daisy. Unicorn, whose piece is Haya or Hagar, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sheep, whose piece is Oyster. White Queen, whose opposite is Lily. White King, whose pawn is Fawn. Aged Man, whose pawn is Oyster. Oyster appears twice on each side. White Knight, Hatter, spelt Hatta, and Tweedledum, who also has Daisy. I'm going to have to show it to you because it doesn't make a lot of sense really. On the red team, the pawns are Daisy, Messenger, Oyster, Tiger Lily, Rose, Oyster, Frog, Daisy. And their pieces are Humpty Dumpty, Carpenter, who's the messenger, Oyster, whose piece is Walrus, Tiger Lily is the red queen, Rose is the red king, Oyster, Crow, Frog, Red Knight, Daisy, Lion. I'll just show you that. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The frames of reference are lost on me, but I'll just show it to you, what I've just read out to you, struggling as I did. Right, then they show you the chessboard. On the top is red and underneath is white. They even show you the various positions, they being Lewis Carroll. White pawn, Alice, to play and win in 11 moves. And here then the reference pages. Number 1, Alice meets Red Queen, page 111. Let me just flip to 111. It can be a bit concrete, or so my psych nurse. Yes, there is mention of the Red Queen on page 111. My former psych nurse friend used to say, "You can't create. Fuck off. I've got brain damage from too many near deaths. But I don't give a fuck, because I'm alive against all the odds and by the grace of the gods." So, bing bam boom, baby. The reasons why she's no longer my friend. Putting me down for having, quite deleterious and prosperity avoiding disability. It's fucking nasty, the people like that. Superficial, callow, cowardly, greedy, corrupt, savage. They're not my friends. Right, where were we? Number 2, Alice through Queen's Third by Railway. I'm not even going to bother reading this out. It's too bloody complicated. It's doing my head in. You can read it. You can freeze frame this video and read that at your own leisure. But right now, I just think it's a load of bollocks, quite frankly. Right. It does my head in. But remember, the important part is Alice, the white pawn, is to play and win in 11 moves. Which I don't think is a great lot of moves in chess. I've only played it a few times with my daughter. It's quite good at it, actually. I'm not good at chess. There's a lot I'm not good at. I'm going to pout now. I'm going to sulk. I'm going to cry in my corner of sacred space. No, I'm not. I'm good at looking after the little birdies when they tell me off and make me look after them. Little Bo. He's a survivor, that one. He knows how to survive. My goodness. As does BB, who ate all the seeds I've just given him. The whole entire plate full. And it was quite a lot. You got a full tummy now, BB. You're going to go on your way and let the lorikeets have their mix when they turn up? Or have to feed them? I think he's got a full tummy now. Right, we'll carry on reading. I'm ready, people of Earth. Are you ready? I thought he lost his hair, but he didn't. His hair is there. Here's what I thought was sound of people running, but it's not. Okay, ready. Child of the pure, unclouded brow and dreaming eyes of wonder, Though time be fleet and I and thou a half, a life, asunder, thy loving smile will surely hail the love gift of a fairy tale. Oh, sweet. I have not seen thy sunny face, nor heard thy silver laughter. No thought of me shall find a place in thy young life's hereafter. Enough that now thou wilt not fail to listen to my fairy tale. A tale begun in other days when summer suns were glowing. A simple chime that served to time the rhythm of our rowing, whose echoes live in memory yet, though envious years would say, forget. Come hearken then, ere voice of dread, with bitter tidings laden, shall summon to unwelcome bed a melancholy maiden. We are but older children dear, who fret to find our bedtime near, without the frost, the blinding snow, the storm wind's moody madness, within the firelight's ruddy glow, and childhood's nest of gladness. It's facing the wrong way, isn't it? You gotta deal with that. You gotta give it a twist by the goddess. Twistin', twistin'. I don't want to fiddle with it now. I'm reading a poem. In the midst of a poem, I got distracted by my own hearing. Jesus. I'll start that verse again. Without the frost, the blinding snow, the storm winds, the moody madness, within the firelight's ruddy glow, and childhood's nest of gladness, the magic words shall hold thee fast, and thou shalt not heed the raving blast. And though the shadow of a sigh may tremble through the story, for happy summer days gone by, and vanished summer glory, it shall not touch with breath of bale the pleasance of our fairy tale. Preface. As the chess problem given on a previous page has puzzled some of my readers, it may be well to explain that it is correctly worked out so far as the moves are concerned. The alternation of red and white is perhaps not so strictly observed as it might be, and the castling of the three queens is merely a way of saying, excuse me, oh my goodness, it is merely a way of saying that they entered the palace. But the check of the white king at move 6, the capture of the red knight at move 7, and the final checkmate of the red king will be found by anyone who will take the trouble to set the pieces and play the moves as directed, to be strictly in accordance with the laws of the game. The new words in the poem Jabberwocky, see page 105, have given rise to some differences of opinion as to their pronunciation, so it may be well to give instructions on that point also. Pronounce slithy as if it were the two words Slither. Right, let me try that again. Slither. Slithy. See, I still want to say slithy. Slither. Okay. I don't like it. Doesn't make logical sense to my mind, but I'm not exactly an expert in pronunciation. Elocution, and anything really. Mistress of none, queen of my own destiny, wild child, psychedelic dreamer, had intense dreams again this morning during the night. Full on dreams. So, pronounce S-L-I-T-H-Y as if it were the two words sly and the. Make the G hard in Gaia and gimbal, and pronounce wrath to rhyme with bath. Okay, Gaia, I normally pronounce it Jaya. Have I been pronouncing it wrong all this time, people, a bit? The crow and the kookaburra are having a fight. What are you fighting about, you mad birds? I've got no food out for you to fight over. You're being most unreasonable. Knock it off. Honestly. What a to-do. It's the crow that's being the aggressor too. They normally get on all right, those two. I wonder what that's about. Oh my goodness. Right, it's not actually any of my business, so I'll just carry on reading. He wrote this at Christmas in 1896. And here we have a picture of Alice with a little pussy cat saying, "Oh, you wicked, wicked little thing." Right, have you sorted out your argument, you mad crow? Yes? It's hot, Mama T, he says. I'm feeling fractious. I'm sure he is. All right. Chapter 1. Looking Glass House. One thing was certain, that the white kitten had had nothing to do with it. It was the black kitten's fault entirely. For the white kitten had been having its face washed by the old cat for the last quarter of an hour, and bearing it pretty well, considering, so you see that it couldn't have had any hand in the mischief. The way Dinah washed her children's faces was this. First she held the poor thing down by its ear with one paw, and then with the other paw she rubbed its face all over the wrong way, beginning at the nose. And just now, as I said, she was hard at work on the white kitten, which was lying quite still and trying to purr, no doubt feeling that it was all meant for its good. But the black kitten had been finished with earlier in the afternoon, and so, while Alice was sitting curled up in a corner of the great armchair, half talking to herself and half asleep, the kitten had been having a grand game of romps with the ball of worsted Alice had been trying to wind up, which reminds me that wool should be dry by now. I should roll it up while I'm talking to you. And had been rolling it up and down till it had all come undone again. And there it was, spread over the hearthrug, all knots and tangles, with the kitten running after its own tail in the middle. "Oh, you wicked, wicked little thing," cried Alice, catching up the kitten and giving it a little kiss to make it understand that it was in disgrace. Really, Dinah ought to have taught you better manners. You ought, Dinah. You know you ought," she added, looking reproachfully at the old cat. "When are you babies going to be born, BB?" He's still kicking things up onto his mound. My goodness, it's taken forever for them to hatch. Makes me wonder if they were not successful eggs. Anyway. And speaking in as cross a voice as she could manage. And then she scrambled back into the armchair, taking the kitten and the worsted with her, and began winding up the ball again. But she didn't get on very fast, as she was talking all the time, sometimes to the kitten and sometimes to herself. The kitty sat very demurely on her knee, pretending to watch the progress of the winding, and now and then putting out one paw and gently touching the ball as if it would be glad to help, if it might. "Do you know what tomorrow is, Kitty?" Alice began. "You'd have guessed if you'd been up at the window with me, only Dinah was making you tidy, so you couldn't. I was watching the boys getting in sticks for the bonfire, and it wants plenty of sticks, Kitty. Only it got so cold and it snowed so, they had to leave off. Never mind, Kitty. We'll go and see the bonfire tomorrow." Here Alice wound 2 or 3 turns of the worsted round the kitten's neck, just to see how it would look. This led to a scramble in which the ball rolled down upon the floor, and yards of it got unwound again. "Do you know, I was so angry, Kitty," Alice went on, as soon as they were comfortably settled again. "When I saw all the mischief you had been doing, I was very nearly opening the window and putting you out into the snow, and you'd have deserved it, you little mischievous thing. But what have you got to say for yourself? Now, don't interrupt me," she went on, holding up one finger. "I'm going to tell you all your faults. Number 1, you squeaked twice while Dinah was washing your face this morning. Now, you can't deny it, Kitty. I heard you. What's that you say?" pretending that the kitten was speaking. "Her paw went into your eye? Well, that's your fault for keeping your eyes open. If you'd shut them tight up, it wouldn't have happened. Now, don't make any more excuses, but listen. Number 2, you pulled Snowdrop away by the tail, just as I had put the saucer of milk before her. What? You were thirsty, were you? How do you know she wasn't thirsty too? Now, for number 3. You unwound every bit of the worsted while I wasn't looking. That's 3 faults, Kitty, and you've not been punished for any of them yet. You know I'm saving up all your punishments for Wednesday week. Suppose they had saved up all my punishments," she went on, talking more to herself than the kitten. What would they do at the end of a year? I should be sent to prison, I suppose, when the day came. Or, let me see. Suppose each punishment was to be going without a dinner. Then when the miserable day came, I should have to go without 50 dinners at once. Well, I shouldn't mind that much. Being pedantic here. I'd rather go without them than eat them. By the gods, sounds like a friend of mine who used to struggle to eat her dinners too. Had a few friends that struggled to eat their food. That's why they used to love to feed me up. Watch me feed, it was almost a fetish for them. Dear goddess. But the Mamati does not willfully choose to go without her dinner. If I lose my appetite, it means I'm very unwell. It's not like me to lose my appetite. When it kicks back in, it's a force to be reckoned with. Oh, you have to laugh. You happy out here, my boys? Kermie. Kermie boy. Bravo boy. Kookaburra boy. Right, Kookaburra might be a girl for all we know though. The turkey's definitely a boy though. I can tell by his waddle thingy. Do you hear the snow against the window panes, Kitty? How nice and soft it sounds. Just as if someone was kissing the window all over outside. I wonder if the snow loves the trees and fields that it kisses them so gently, and then it covers them up snug, you know, with a white quilt, and perhaps it says, "Go to sleep, darlings, till the summer comes again." And when they wake up in the summer, Kitty, they dress themselves all in green and dance about whenever the wind blows. "Oh, that's very pretty," cried Alice, dropping the ball of worsted to clap her hands. "And I do so wish it was true. I'm sure the woods look sleepy in the autumn when the leaves are getting brown." "Kitty, can you play chess?" "Now don't smile, my dear. I'm asking it seriously, because when we were playing just now, you watched just as if you understood it, and when I said, 'check,' you purred." "Well, it was a nice check, Kitty, and really I might have won if it hadn't been for that nasty knight that came wriggling down among my pieces. Kitty, dear, let's pretend." And here I wish I could tell you half the things Alice used to say, beginning with her favourite phrase, "Let's pretend." She had had quite a long argument with her sister only the day before, all because Alice had begun with, "Let's pretend we're kings and queens," and her sister, who liked being very exact, had argued that they couldn't, because there were only two of them, and Alice had been reduced at last to say, "Well, you can be one of them then, and I'll be all the rest." And once she had really frightened her old nurse by shouting suddenly in her ear, "Nurse, do let's pretend that I'm a hungry hyena and you're a bone." But this is taking us away from Alice's speech to the kitten. "Let's pretend that you're the Red Queen, Kitty. Do you know, I think if you sat up and folded your arms, you'd look exactly like her. Now do try. There's a dear. And Alice got the Red Queen off the table and set it up before the kitten as a model for it to imitate. However, the thing didn't succeed, principally, Alice said, because the kitten wouldn't fold its arms properly. So, to punish it, she held it up to the looking glass. A looking glass is a mirror, because you look into the glass and you see your reflection back. Sometimes you like what you'll see, and others you think, oh, dear goddess, why haven't you brushed your hair? Did you really go outside like that? By all the gods, what is that in your teeth? Why do you think you're pretty when everyone treats you so abominably? And, other existential angst type questions one might ask oneself while staring into a mirror or looking glass, which is really a portal into another dimension. The other dimension where you forever look the way you did in that moment in time. Frozen. Captured. Frozen in time. It's a bit like looking into an iPhone screen making YouTube videos. These moments frozen in time, regurgitated to us. As often as you choose to watch my video, I shall forever look like this. And tomorrow I shall look like something else, depending on what I'm wearing or what I do with my hair or my mood or my existential angst. Well, so to punish it, she held it up to the looking glass, which cats really don't. Animals do not like. Birds quite like looking at themselves, but cats and dogs do not. They find it quite frightening and confronting. But anyway, that it might see how sulky it was. And if you're not good directly, she added, I'll put you through into Looking Glass House. How would you like that? Now, if you'll only attend, Kitty, and not talk so much, I'll tell you all my ideas about Looking Glass House. First, there's the room you can see through the glass that's just the same as our drawing room, only the things go the other way. I can see all of it when I get upon a chair, all but the bit behind the fireplace. Oh, I do so wish I could see that bit. I want so much to know whether there's a fire in the winter. You never can tell, unless our fire smokes, and then smoke comes up in that room too. But that may be only a pretense, just to make it look as if they had a fire. Oh, well then, the books are something like, then the books are something like our books, only the words go the wrong way. I know that, because I've held up one of our books to the glass, and then they hold up one in the other room. How would you like to live in Looking Glass House, Kitty? I wonder if they'll give you milk in there. Perhaps Looking Glass milk isn't good to drink. But, oh, Kitty, now we come to the passage. You can just see a little peep of the passage in Looking Glass House. If you leave the door of our drawing room wide open, and it's very like our passage as far as you can see, Only, you know, it may be quite different on beyond. Oh, Kitty, how nice it would be if we could only get through into Looking Glass House. I'm sure it's got, oh, such beautiful things in it. Let's pretend there's a way of getting through into it somehow, Kitty. Let's pretend the glass has got all soft like gauze so that we can get through. Why, it's turning into a sort of mist now, I declare. It'll be easy enough to get through. Now Beebe's kicking dirt off the mound. Maybe he can hear his babies about to hatch. Wouldn't it be cool if we saw them hatch while I was sitting here? They're cute little fluffy little munchkins when they're born. They just run wildly in all directions. Bless. Must be getting close because he's kicking off the soil, and then later on he puts it back to warm it up again. Busy bird. She was up on the chimney piece while she said this, though she hardly knew how she had got there. And certainly the glass was beginning to melt away, just like a bright, silvery mist. My boys are here. Hello, Laura Keats. Would you like your food? Yes, Mama T. And just quite a long chapter, this one, by all the gods. Let me just duck out. I'm just going to get them their food. I'll be back in a moment. All right, I'm getting your food. Oh, what a god. Oh, Jemima. Tricky ones. I really need to buy you some more. We're nearly out. Here you go, my darlings. Where have you gone? They didn't stick around to eat their food. But there's another oh, it's the female scrub turkey coming now. What's she going to do? Crazy. All right. What happened to my book? It's all flipped over while I was gone. In another moment, as after the glass is beginning to melt away, just like a bright silvery mist, in another moment, Alice was through the glass and had jumped lightly down into the looking glass room. The very first thing she did was to look whether there was a fire in the fireplace, and she was quite pleased to find that there was a real one, blazing away as brightly as the one she had left behind. So I shall be as warm here as I was in the old room, thought Alice. Warmer, in fact, because there'll be no one here to scold me away from the fire. Oh, what fun it'll be when they see me through the glass in here and can't get at me." Then she began looking about and noticed that what could be seen from the old room was quite common and uninteresting, but that all the rest was as different as possible. For instance, the pictures on the wall next to the fire seemed to be all alive, and the very clock on the chimney piece, you know, you can only see the back of it in the looking glass, had got the face of a little old man and grinned at her. "They don't keep this room so tidy as the other," Alice thought to herself, as she noticed several of the chessmen down in the hearth among the cinders. But in another moment, with a little "oh" of surprise, she was on her hands and knees, watching them. The chessmen were walking about, 2 and 2. Here she is saying, "I do wish I could see that little bit." "Here are the Red King and the Red Queen," Alice said, in a whisper for fear of frightening them. "And there are the White King and the White Queen sitting on the edge of the shovel, and here are 2 castles walking arm in arm. I don't think they can hear me," she went on, as she put her head closer down, "and I'm nearly sure they can't see me. I feel somehow as if I was getting invisible." Here something began squeaking on the table behind Alice and made her turn her head just in time to see one of the white pawns roll over and begin kicking. She watched it with great curiosity to see what would happen next. I'm being plagued by a mosquito. I just heard it. I think it bit my face. I hate mosquitoes. "It is the voice of my child," the White Queen cried out as she rushed past the king, so violently that she knocked him over among the cinders. "My precious Lily, my imperial kitten." She began scrambling wildly up the side of the fender. "Imperial fiddlestick," said the king, rubbing his nose, which had been hurt by the fall. He had a right to be a little annoyed with the Queen, for he was covered with ashes from head to foot. Alice was very anxious to be of use, and as the poor little Lily was nearly screaming herself into a fit, she hastily picked up the Queen and set her on the table by the side of her noisy little daughter. The Queen gasped and sat down. The rapid journey through the air had quite taken away her breath, and for a minute or two she could do nothing but hug the little Lily in silence. As soon as she had recovered her breath a little, she called out to the White King, who was sitting sulkily among the ashes, "Mind the volcano." "What volcano?" said the king, looking up anxiously into the fire, as if he thought that was the most likely place to find one. "Blew me up," panted the Queen, who was still a little out of breath. "Mind you, come up the regular way. Don't get blown up." Alice watched the White King as he slowly struggled up from bar to bar, till at last she said, "Why, you'll be hours and hours getting to the table at that rate. I'd far better help you, hadn't I?" But the king took no notice of the question. It was clear that he could neither hear her nor see her. So Alice picked him up very gently and lifted him across more slowly than she had lifted the Queen, that she mightn't take his breath away. But before she put him on the table, she thought she might as well dust him a little. He was so covered with ashes. She said afterwards that she had never seen in all her life such a face as the king made when he found himself held in the air by an invisible hand and being dusted. He was far too much astonished to cry out, but his eyes and his mouth went on getting larger and larger and rounder, till her hand shook so with laughing that she nearly let him drop upon the floor. "Hello, Mickey Bird." "Oh, please don't make such faces, my dear," she cried out, quite forgetting that the king couldn't hear her. "You make me laugh." I did get bit in my face, didn't I? It feels all itchy now. Must have been quick, I didn't even feel it. "Oh, please don't make such faces, my dear," she cried out, quite forgetting that the king couldn't hear her. "You make me laugh so that I can hardly hold you. And don't keep your mouth so wide open. All the ashes will get into it. There now, I think you're tidy enough," she added, as she smoothed his hair and set him upon the table near the Queen. The king immediately fell flat on his back and lay perfectly still, and Alice was a little alarmed at what she had done, and went round the room to see if she could find any water to throw over him. However, she could find nothing but a bottle of ink, and when she got back with it, she found he had recovered, and he and the Queen were talking together in a frightened whisper, so low that Alice could hardly hear what they said. The king was saying, "I assure you, my dear, I turned cold to the very ends of my whiskers." To which the Queen replied, "You haven't got any whiskers." "The horror of that moment," the king went on, "I shall never forget." "You will, though," the Queen said, "if you don't make a memorandum of it." Alice looked on with great interest as the king took an enormous memorandum book out of his pocket and began writing. A sudden thought struck her, and she took hold of the end of the pencil, which came some way over his shoulder, began writing for him. The poor king looked puzzled and unhappy, and struggled with the pencil for some time without saying anything. But Alice was too strong for him, and at last he panted out, "My dear, I really must get a thinner pencil. I can't manage this one a bit. It writes all manner of things that I don't intend." "What manner of things?" said the Queen, looking over the book in which Alice had put, "The White Knight is sliding down the poker. He balances very badly." "That's not a memorandum of your feelings." There was a book lying near Alice on the table, and while she sat watching the White King, for she was still a little anxious about him, and had the ink all ready to throw over him in case he fainted again. She turned over the leaves to find some part that she could read. For it's all in some language I don't know, she said to herself. It was like this. Except I showed it to you because it's written back to front, but in the camera it's corrected it to the right way round, and I can read it quite clearly now. Funny. She puzzled over this for some time, but at last a bright thought struck her. Well, maybe the right way round will look back to front. Aha, yes, the next part now looks back to front. Fortunately, we're not reading off the camera screen. Right, where was I? She puzzled over this for some time, but at last a bright thought struck her. Why, it's a looking glass book, of course, and if I hold it up to a glass, the words will all go the right way again. This was the poem that Alice read. Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig and slither toves, did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the moan wraths outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jubjub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. Frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the Maxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. The birds are really all having a swim today. They're really loving it. And as in uffish thought he stood, the jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, callooh, calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slither toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome wraths outgrabe. It seems very pretty, she said when she had finished it, but it's rather hard to understand. You see, she didn't like to confess, even to herself, that she couldn't make it out at all. Somehow, it seems to fill my head with ideas only. I don't exactly know what they are. However, somebody killed something. That's clear at any rate. But, oh, thought Alice, suddenly jumping up, if I don't make haste, I shall have to go back through the looking glass before I've seen what the rest of the house is like. Let's have a look at the garden first. She was out of the room in a moment and ran downstairs, or at least it wasn't exactly running, but a new invention of getting downstairs quickly and easily, as Alice said to herself. She just kept the tips of her fingers on the handrail and floated gently down without even touching the stairs with her feet. Then she floated on through the hall and would have gone straight out at the door in the same way if she hadn't caught hold of the doorpost. She was getting a little giddy with so much floating in the air, and was rather glad to find herself walking again in the natural way. So we'll stop there for today, and we'll come back tomorrow with chapter 2 of Through the Looking Glass. Hope you enjoyed that, people of Earth. I'm quite tired now. I live in a perpetual state of exhaustion. Nothing new under the sun. Maybe I should practice floating around the place. But I did used to love to slide down banisters as a child. I remember looking down from the top floor of the Manchester Unity building when I was, can't remember if I was 6 or 7. It was before we went to Germany, so I think I was 6-ish or 7. I turned 8 on the ship going over, but we'd only been at sea for about a week when I turned 8. A week or 2, I can't remember exactly now after all these years. But I know I turned 8 on the ship because Mum invited random strangers for a birthday party, and they were all adults, and one of them was a pedophile ship steward that had actually come into our cabin during the night and attempted to molest me. Cheerful fucking thought, isn't it? Happy days and all. Anyway, I fended him off miraculously, but he came to my birthday party looking full of delight and joy, presented me with a little blue toy gonk, which was a toy that was in fashion when I was 8 years old. And I looked at the toy, and I've never wanted to throw something in someone's face in all my life, but I just stared at him with contempt and politely said thank you when ordered by my mother to say thank you. Vile it was. All of it was vile. But anyway, yet another fucking predator. That ship was full of them, by the way. But he was the only one that had the audacity to enter someone's cabin with a sleeping child if they're alone, unprotected and unattended. Bastards. All of them. Bastards. But anyway, where was I? Oh yes, the Manchester Unity building, which was how Mum earned enough money to make the return trip to Germany in 1973. And it was my job to help clean the Manchester Unity building, even though I was only a small child. They used to hand me a damp cloth and I had to wipe down all the desks, beautiful executive desks and the beautiful, executive offices, which I didn't really mind. But at the top of this amazing staircase that looked like something out of a David Lynch movie, it really did. It was all black and white. I'd look down and I'd think to myself, already suicidal ideation at 6 from all the abuse, people of Earth. I'd look down and I'd think, I could just slide down this banister, and if I fall, I'd fall right to the bottom. I'd be a puddle of blood and goo and ooze right at the bottom of that building, and I'd sit there looking at it with great attention and intention at times. Something always pulled me back from the edge, miraculously at times. I did think on the lower floors I did slide down the banister, knowing that if I fell I wouldn't exactly break anything. But oh, the temptation. Death has been my mistress and a constant temptation since I was a very small child, actually. So there is that. Happy thoughts though. We're sitting in the garden. I'm 60.5 years old. I've survived everything and everyone, every fucking monstrosity that came my way, up to and including false lovers and sadistic, evil people and threats on my life when I was in my 30s. On it goes and on it goes. Now I get to sit in my garden with the crow and the turkey fighting over the lorikeet food. No, you've been fed, mister. You've been fed. Oh, that's naughty. Really naughty. He kicked most of it down on the ground, so what was I saying? How I get to sit in my garden and be entertained and protective and loving of the birds. It's a full-time job. You don't get paid for it. Well, I guess in a way I kind of do, but oh, by the goddess. Anyway, life is beautiful. Carry on being awesome. I'm going dancing this evening. That's the plan. But I'll have to have a bit of a rest and put on all my makeup and show up and strut my stuff as I do. So, blessed be from a sacred space at Titania's realm. To you all. Bye for now.